So when we think of gender, people usually think of men and women, and we think of the privileges and drawbacks that come with being a man or a woman. But a lot of the time, what happens is we think of this in a binary. And the binary that we've assigned to gender is that men have a penis and women don't. And there is no difference other than that will attribute gender to people. So when we think in binaries like this, we're actually creating a system of hierarchy that puts people in places of privilege, but also it others people. So from my own experience as a non-binary person, from a young age, I knew that I was attracted to feminine people, but that was the extent of what I knew, because I knew what it meant to be gay, but I didn't know that gender had a huge part of that. And so when I got to middle school, I started playing around with my fashion and, mixing feminine and masculine fashion into my lifestyle. And when I was younger, I used to also play around with masculine gender roles when I was playing with my friends. And so this continued all the way up until my last year of high school. And I knew all along that something was missing from my identity, that my identity was just not assigned to the genitalia that I have, and that I had been not conforming to that. And I knew this because some people, I used to work at a grocery store, and I remember this one time there was this child, and the child was walking with their parent, and all of a sudden I hear a whisper, and the whisper says, "Mommy, is that a boy or a girl?" And I overheard this, and the mom was just mortified, first of all. And she tried to shush her child and apologize to me, but in my head it wasn't a big deal. But when I reflect on that experience, I know that children are so confused about what gender means, and I think that we could teach them about gender not just being man or woman. Gender is whatever you want it to be. It's a playground. So going back to my point about othering people, this binary that we create based on genitalia, for those who don't conform 100% to one or the other, we risk violence and we risk not being represented, which is what the arc of history has proven. So for trans youth, they are more likely to commit suicide than a cisgender youth. And also hate crimes are so prevalent, especially in this day and age. And Donald Trump has not allowed transgender and non-binary people to be in the military because it is a risk for the unit, in that it will create weak units, and that it will cost more to have these people in the military. However, other research has shown that the cost of being transgender in the military would only cost 1,000th of the budget that we currently have for the military. So we limit the opportunities that trans and non-binary people can have in this world through systems, through social institutions, through law and policy. So for cisgender allies, if you want to do something about it on a personal level, you can just ask people's pronouns, whatever their preferred name is, and do your best to respect those. Nobody expects you to get it right on the first time, especially if they're not passing, or if they don't look the gender presentation that they identify with. So making sure that you respect those pronouns and those names are really important. And the next thing you can do is engage in transformative politics that help move the world towards a place that is more accepting of alternative gender expressions and identities. So for that means going to protests. It means engaging in those conversations with people who are trans and non-binary, and even other cisgender people. Strike up that conversation and ask, what does it mean to be a boy or girl, trans or non-binary? And for cisgender and transgender people, continue being yourselves. Make sure your voice is heard, and know when you are safe. Safety is key to how you present yourself in this world. And I know that our safeties are at risk, but sometimes, and I do this myself, I have to put myself in a position where I might not feel comfortable, but I feel safe enough to express myself and to tell people my story. So thank you for listening, and I hope that this helps you engage in conversation with other people about what gender means.